Hello, and welcome. We are talking all things US Open on the Daily Dose for the Chris McPherson Show today. And we're coming to you from sunny but crisp Canberra today. Something a little bit different, but we're still talking the US Open. There's plenty happening around the tennis world and it is ticking on down. We talked yesterday about the first half of the round of 16. We now head on to the second half of the round of 16, and it is all ticking along and proceeding quite nicely when we look at these matchups. In terms of the results yesterday, on the women's side, some surprises. Marketa Vondrousova got it done against Elena Rybakina in 3 sets. So that was a really good result for Rybakina there. For Vondrousova there against Rybakina. Rybakina was one I quite highly fancied, to be honest. So a little surprised there to see her go down in 3 sets. The other matches, fairly as expected. Aryna Sabalenka getting through in straight sets. Jessica Pegula also straight sets, 1 and 4 and 1 and 2 respectively. The top 2 of the top 4 seeds march on unhindered. And then Barbora Krejcikova, the 2-time Grand Slam champion, comes through and knocks out Taylor Townsend. That was an epic. Townsend got right into the arm wrestle after a blazing first set. Krejcikova fought back. They went into a tie break and it had to go to 15-13 in the tie break. And Krejcikova closed it out 6-3 in the final set. So Krejcikova goes through, as do Pegula, Vondrousova and Sabalenka into the quarterfinals. When we talk about the men's, that's ongoing, obviously, where we have the round of 16 progressions. And again, fairly predictable, some straight sets wins for some of the big names. Novak Djokovic was clinical against Jan-Lennard Struff. Taylor Fritz blew off Taylor Mahatch from the court, 4-3 and 3, getting that American crowd behind him on Louis Armstrong. Carlos Alcaraz, too strong for Arthur Rinderknecht. Again, straight sets, 6-3 and 4. Probably the most he's had to work for it so far, but again, getting through. And then Yuri Lehechka getting through to a quarterfinal, beating Adrian Mannarino, the 37-year-old Frenchman, in 4 sets. Mannarino fought back to take the third set. Then Lehechka was too strong, closing it out. Take it 7-6, 6-4, 2-6, 6-2. So Djokovic, Fritz, Alcaraz, and Lehechka all through to the quarters. So we'll see how they shape up when we start looking ahead to day 10. But let's talk day 9, and it is time to talk some Aussie watch action. And, of course, there's only one Aussie left standing, and it is Alex de Minaur, the Demon. He is shaping up nicely here. He comes up in a big clash up against Leandro Reedy. Reedy came into the tournament ranked 435th and is absolutely phenomenal. He has absolutely worked his form into a strong position now, the young Swissman. He has come through qualifying. He's put 6 on the trot. That last one, a nice cruisy one in many ways, getting past Kamil Ormaczak of Poland with a first set retirement. Look, he hasn't had to work too hard. Francisco Cerundolo in the second round was a 5-setter for him. Outside of that, everything's been as straightforward as things get. He's had a few tie breaks in there as well. But also, de Minaur, very similar. Straight sets wins over O'Connell and Mochizuki. He then came up against Altmaier in the third round. Altmaier was down a break and 2-1 down when we got into that fourth set and retired hurt after his big win over Stefanos Tsitsipas. So, look, things shape really well here for Alex de Minaur, opening up for him in terms of the draw when we have a look at it. I really think this should be a semi-final run now for de Minaur. He needs to make short work here of the outsider in Leandro Reedy. Again, it's been a phenomenal run to this point for Reedy, but it would be an absolute stunner if he got past here. For mine, de Minaur in straight sets to take this one out. March on, keep that Aussie vibe and Aussie love going on. Then when we talk about next up, let's talk Felix Auger-Aliassime. He comes up against Andrei Rublev. This is an interesting one for multiple reasons. These two will go head-to-head, though. They have played 8 times before on the tour. 25th seed Auger-Aliassime up against the 15th seed in Rublev. Rublev, 18 titles on tour. It feels like he's been around forever and a day, but just 27 years of age. He's been ranked as high as 5, Auger-Aliassime as high as 6. But we just haven't seen that consistency from Auger-Aliassime, although we did start to see him getting aggressive, getting forward, taking the ball on, and I guess taking the impetus away in his last match where he took down Alexander Zverev in 4 sets. He's also knocked out Roman Safulin and Billy Harris. while we have a look at Andrei Rublev. He had to go to 5 sets to get past Coleman Wong, 4 sets to get past Tristan Boyer, straight sets in the first round against Dino Prismic. We did see some good form from both these guys. They made the quarterfinals at Cincinnati and also a quarterfinal at Toronto for Rublev. So, it's been some good hard court form from them. Both have better than 60% winning records on hard courts this year. I just don't have full faith in Auger Aliassime at this stage. The fact he's played an extra hour and a half on court probably doesn't favour him either. But somehow he's played less sets, which is a kind of a bit of an anomaly in that regard. But he has spent more time on court. So it's an interesting one. These guys at their best will be an absolutely enthralling encounter. Rublev leads this head-to-head 7-1, though. Got a really dominant streak going against Felix Auger-Aliassime, including 2 matches earlier this year in May in Hamburg on clay, and then earlier this year in Qatar in February, 7-5, 4-6, 7-6. And you have to go all the way back to 2022 for Felix Auger-Aliassime to have his one win over Andrei Rublev. Since then, 5 straight for Rublev. 2022, 2024, 2024, 2025, 2025. So in the last 18 months, he's got 4 wins over him. I think that experience is going to lean to Rublev. I think this one's going to go deep. I think Auger-Aliassime started to find some better tennis, but whether it's going to be enough to take on Rublev in 5, I don't know. I'm going to go Rublev to get it done in 5. I think this is going to be Auger-Aliassime out of the blocks, but I think Rublev will get it done. Either way, it's going to be a cracking match. Really looking forward to this to get things underway on Arthur Ashe tomorrow. It's going to be, as I said, a red-hot match. Next up, an interesting one for mine. We have Lorenzo Musetti, the 10th seed, coming up against Jean Munar. Munar is an interesting one. I've talked him up a couple of times. I like his tennis. I really enjoyed watching him play on the hard courts at the Australian Open earlier this year. These guys have played 5 times before, just once this year on hard courts in a quarterfinal at Hong Kong, and Munar got it done. He's got a 4-1 record over Lorenzo Musetti, which is interesting to see. A lot of those going back to lower tier tournaments in 19 and 21. As I said, once earlier this year, it's their only hard court clash. And look, Musetti, not a natural hard courter, but has shown some improvement on the hard courts. But again, I think this one matches up really well. This is an opportunity for Jean Munar to push through to his first quarterfinal at a Grand Slam and really just accelerate up into those rankings and push himself up towards the seedings. The Spaniard's got a game that can certainly match up really well, but does he manage to execute? His consistency of execution can often be key. Musetti, on the other hand, has got to the top 10 for a reason. So, really looking forward to seeing how this shapes up. But again, I think Munar will be a big improver in the rankings. I think live he might be up into the mid-30s, and another win here would get him to almost 32 in the world, which is start to be talking about those seedings. So we will watch with bated breath, but I'm going to tip Jean Munar in 4 to get this one done. I think he matches up well. Really looking forward to seeing how the 28-year-old goes. He's a bit more experience on tour. As I said, that 4-1 record as well against Musetti. And finally, while we're talking men's tennis, it will be the number 1 seed, Jannik Sinner. He comes up against Alexander Bublik, the 23rd seed. And again, Bublik, tricky, crafty. He's won 10 straight. He's in some good form when you have a look back, but you've got to have a look back at when they were those matchups. Obviously, the game's here in New York, but then he's been in Kitzbühel and Gstaad back in late July. So not really sparkling hard court form. Sinner, just 1 loss on hard courts this year. Interestingly, Bublik has won their last match. He won on grass at Halle. Sinner beat him at the French Open earlier this year. Again, Bublik won at Halle in 2023. And then Sinner's got the earlier 3 wins going back to 21 and early 23. But I certainly think on hard court, Sinner will match up better. He's got the 2 wins in history in Miami and Dubai back in 2021 on hard courts between these two. As tricky as Bublik is, as entertaining as he can be, I just think Jannik Sinner wins this one comfortably. I think Sinner's going to win this one in straight sets, and it's going to be a statement by Sinner is what we'll be talking about as he marches into the quarterfinals. I don't think Bublik sort of matches that same sort of match that we've seen where Shapovalov challenged Sinner a little bit earlier in this tournament, where we saw Grigor Dimitrov challenge Sinner at Wimbledon. I just don't think Bublik's quite that game. So I'm going to go Sinner in straight sets. Let's flip the script. Let's talk the women's tennis now, and let's head to Louis Armstrong. This is going to be one of the I think probably the second match off on Louis Armstrong, if recollection serves, and it is the number 2 seed, Iga Swiatek, coming up against Ekaterina Alexandrova. This is a really good clash, the power versus the skill. An interesting matchup. Alexandra has made short work of some of her opponents thus far to get to the 4th round and into the last 16. But when you look at the matchups, Swiatek's won 4 of their last 5. 2 of those have been on hard courts, those matches, or outdoor hard courts. One of those was to Alexandrova at Miami last year. But the most recent meeting was at Bad Homburg on the grass, where Swiatek won in straight sets. Then you go back to Doha in 2024 on the hard courts, where again, Swiatek got that done in straight sets. I think Iga is playing better tennis. We saw some bobbles against Kalinskaya, certainly some other bobbles against Susan Leymans, but I just think she's really strong here. I know that Alexandra disposed of Laura Siegemund convincingly, love and won, and has made a real statement getting to this point. She has only dropped 10 games to get to this point. She's been really quick, as I said, getting through sort of an average of an hour a match. I don't think she's played, maybe just ticked over 3 hours at this point. Yeah, 3 hours and 10 minutes. Swiatek spent nearly 5 hours on court, just over 5 hours on court. So a little bit harder work, but I just think Swiatek too classy here. She'll get this done in straight sets. I think the gap between her top couple of players and those players down just outside the top 10 is a little bit more significant than many are realising. I know we've seen some results, but especially those top 2, Sabalenka and Swiatek, I think they're marching towards maybe a possible date, Sinner, Alcaraz style. We'll wait and see. Next up, we have Karolina Muchova coming up against Marta Kostyuk, and this is a really contrasting style sort of match. Really interested to see how this goes. We've got a player who's been ranked as high as 16 in Kostyuk. She's been up and down in the rankings, just a youngster, though, on her way up. Muchova, she's so hard to predict what she's going to do. She feels like she should have a number of titles to her name already, but she's just a bit of a roller coaster realistically. And I think this is an opportunity maybe for Kostyuk to try and get it done. Obviously, we've seen Muchova take down Williams, Sestaya, and Noskova, while Kostyuk has taken some scalps as well. Bolter, Sonmez, Diane Parry. But you look at these guys, and they've had very similar lead-ups. You know, moderate runs at Cincinnati, solid runs at Montreal. Both going out early in some other tournaments to, decent but not world-beating names. It's just two players that are really hard to get a consistent form read on. And I'm not sure that I've got a convincing answer on it. I know that's probably not what I'm here for, but I'm not sure that I've got a convincing answer. And because of that, it's almost a flip of the coin for this match on Grandstand. And because of that, I'm just going to lean to the experience of Muchova. I think we've seen some shoots from her that are maybe heading in the right direction for her tennis at the moment. But again, I'm not solidly convinced. I'm not, going to rubber stamp this, but she fought hard against Noskova and came back and was convincing after a slower start. Again, against Sestaya, just losing the tie break. So I'm going to go Muchova to get this one done in 3 sets. I think it'll be an exciting game to watch. It'll be two contrasting styles, as I said, but it'll be interesting to see how they take each other on, who can get the better of the other game and who can lean into their strengths a little bit more. But I'm going to go Muchova in 3. Moving on, we've got Naomi Osaka up against Coco Gauff, and 5 matches they've played, all on hard courts. It's going to be interesting. Coco, obviously, early days, looked at Naomi as a bit of a mentor, and Naomi is starting to come into some really good form. So Osaka's got the game that can challenge her. The last couple of times that Gauff has gotten the wins over Osaka, probably not in the peak Osaka era, 2024 and 2022 at Beijing and San Jose, respectively. We know that Osaka beat Coco Gauff here in the 3rd round way back in 2019 when Gauff was just a baby-faced wild card. Gauff then got her measure in 2020 against Osaka at the Aussie Open before Osaka clawed one back in 2021 at Cincinnati. So it's an interesting one. Gauff on paper should win this, but we know she hasn't been absolutely at her best, although she really bounced back against Magdalena Frech. Gauff, on the other hand, we talked about that the other day. She knocked out Dasha Kazatkina in the 3rd round. And look, she was certainly helped by some really poor serving by Kazatkina in the first set, but she was strong. Kazatkina fought back in the second, and Osaka overcame that. Again, the big question, we saw how Osaka reacted when the crowd turned on her in Canada against Victoria Mboko. We've seen it before when she took on Serena Williams. Is that what's going to happen here, or will she have the big sister, little sister edge on Gauff? Again, it's one that I don't have a lot of absolute confidence in. It's starting to get tougher and tougher to pick these, obviously, as we get to the pointy end of the competition. But my heart tells me I'd love to see Osaka get the win here and really, open things up. But I think I'm going to get Coco Gauff to take this one out. I'm actually going to go Coco Gauff in straight sets against Osaka. I think if it gets into an arm wrestle, it's going to be interesting. I think Gauff can win it there as well. But, yeah, I think if Osaka's going to win, she's got to come out absolutely blazing as she did against Kasatkina and hold that level for 2 full sets. Because Gauff is one of the grittiest, one of the just gets it done ugly. Doesn't matter how she's playing, she can find ways to win. She's an absolute grafter and grinder. We know that. So going to be an interesting one. Speaking of Americans, the final match of the day in the singles will be Amanda Anisimova coming up against Beatrice Haddad-Maia. Look, Amanda Anisimova got tongue-tied there. The 24-year-old 8th seed made it to the final of Wimbledon. We know that. And she's on course for another matchup here with Iga Swiatek. And it'll be interesting to see how she handles that. Haddad-Maia has the last win between these two on hard courts or on any surfaces back in 2023. This is, when Haddad-Maia was, fringe top 10 and Anisimova was coming into the draw as a lucky loser well before she'd reached her peak. So I don't know we can take too much from that. And I just think, just on pure form alone, I know she wasn't clinical against Jacqueline Christian and Haddad-Maia absolutely blew Zachary off the court, but I don't know. Something just tells me Anisimova, the tennis she's playing, she can get that backhand firing. She should get this done. And I'm going to go Anisimova to get it done in straight sets and book herself into a quarterfinal up against Iga Swiatek. This is going to be a cracker on Arthur Ashe to close things off. Looking forward to seeing how that goes and how day 9 plays out. Then we'll be into day 10, the quarterfinals. We'll start to have a bit more of a chat. We've had, in terms of some of the other draws, the doubles, the juniors, all those sorts of things. We have had some of the Aussies in action. Cruz Hewitt did drop out in the juniors, so we'll cast an eye a bit more to Talia Kokinas as well and her progress as we go, because obviously not as many Aussie juniors here at the US Open as we have seen at some of the others. Kokinas, we'll keep an eye on, as I said. We'll watch she's through to the round of 32 after a win earlier today, so that's great. She knocked out the 12th seed, which was a good result. Unseeded Kokinas again up against Luna Chinali. So a good result for her, 6-2. But we'll keep an eye on her and any of the other juniors that are getting around the traps. But in the interim, a big thank you for tuning in to another daily dose of the Chris McPherson Show. We look forward to bringing you plenty more content over the coming days as the US Open heats up and more sport is happening as well. We'll do our best to be daily. There are some other commitments, as I've said, I've got over the next few days, so just trying to squeeze them in where I can. But in the meantime, big thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already. Hit the bell down below to get notified when all of our episodes are dropping. And we look forward to talking to you about the US Open again tomorrow.